smart segue. But next up, the fish spotted in Business Bay.
So, dead fish spotted in Dubai Canal and Business Bay. Residents in Dubai have recently noticed a concerning sight: dead fish floating in both the Dubai Canal and Business Bay since, of course, earlier the last week. The unexpected appearance of the fish has sparked speculation among residents. Many suspect that the rising temperatures could be to blame for this unsettling phenomenon.
It's really interesting, this speculation related to climate change as the heat in the world begins to climb. It's not uncommon for environmental changes to affect sea creatures. The sudden increase in temperature may have caused stress to the fish population, leading to their unfortunate demise. This possibility has left residents worried about the potential impact of climate change on the world's ecosystem. Really interesting on that. I was reading, it was in the New York Times, and they were discussing the recent weather that we all experienced here in Dubai. And they have the world scientists are looking at it, and they said potentially we're going through a climatic period, I think, called an El Nino at the moment. And when the water temperature rises, it can lead to different environmental impacts, maybe such as sea marine life dying, but also when the water temperature rises, evaporation goes into the air, and that causes increased rain and snowfall in different areas around the world.
Yeah, by the way, that is so true because, like, again, like, you know, I don't know a lot of like science and a lot of like, you know, like around like the earth, but
it's interesting that you say that.
Of course,
yeah, neither do I.
I mean, you know, like it's because like, you know, yes, I wish I just like knew science, but all I can think in my head is Greta Thunberg. How she was screaming on top of her lungs that, you know what, if we are not going to be focusing on our climate, then we are going to be gone. And, you know, like, by the way, like fish, ants, animals, butterflies, greenery, you know, like trees and so on, they're all getting affected, but we are too blinded for that, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, for example, because of, have you seen how the world has looked like from like the outer perspective? You know, it was all over the news when everyone went into lockdown. It was so peaceful, and all of the, by the way, the emissions were like gone.
Because the carbon emissions weren't up, yeah.
Planes were not up, cars were not driving, you know, like everyone was in lockdown, you know, and it's like, it's just like, by the way, people go like, oh yeah, you know what, me using plastic is not going to affect, oh yes, it will affect, you know what I mean? And if you do see, by the way, those like water canals and the beaches and so on, they are filled with a lot of, I would say, pollution in a way. You know, like people like throw their water bottles, people throw their things, and they just like forget, like, you know, there are some creatures that are actually helping us in a way.
It's interesting when you actually go to a beach cleanup, and because I think when you go to a beach, you don't really, you know, take note of cigarette butts and things, but when you go to do a beach cleanup, you're surprised by how much trash is actually there. Although I would say that, again, we bring up the Dubai bubble of our streets are clean, the waterways are generally clean, so we don't really see the true impact. But when you go to some countries, you will see the real impact of trash on the ground in the waterways, and I think that's a bigger shock to people. But it's so interesting what you said about, you know, not being a scientist. Of course we're not, and what we try to do here is do some research. But I think in some of the comments of the post, you know, it's like everyone becomes a scientist, or everyone becomes an expert when they start commenting on these posts.